What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. What doesn't kill you makes a fighter. Footsteps even lighter. Doesn't mean I'm over, 'cause you're gone. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me, Emilie DeAngelo, the host of Balancing Active Life. And here today I am with Rick DeAngelo, and Rick has a special expert and experience about him. He is a speaker, and he's a speaker in actually a lot of different states and a lot of different facilities. He helps people, he educates, and he is an expert in the field of addiction. So here at Balancing Active Life, what we try to do is help people realize every aspect of their life, ones that they're not taking a real close look at. Could be addiction, could be finances, and we help you find people and experts such as Rick to become accountable and get that part of your life that might not be so good back to being good. So here we are, Rick.
Hello,
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely, we're glad to have you. What do you think led you yourself to the addiction, to the destructive lifestyle and the call of it, so to speak?
Well, I believe that we are creatures of habit, and I believe that circumstances and how you were raised and how you, what kind of environment that you grew up in has a lot to do with it. I believe that maybe we have like addictive genes. Some of us do, some of us don't. I can only speak for myself that some of the heartaches and pains that I grew up with, like a very dysfunctional family, where the abnormal became normal to me, and I was a broken child, and I would shove that down deep inside as a little boy. And then as I grew up and started to become a man, I still didn't feel comfortable. I was a scared little boy growing up in a man's body, and I couldn't find the answers.
But you also took positions, though, that, like you're saying, you're still walking around with this scare, this fear, but you were in different positions in your life that were pretty scary themselves. I mean, tough roles to play, different things that you did.
Yes, well, as a little boy, I had to grow up, and when the uncomfortability was there, and I didn't know what was wrong. I was just a teenager, and I'm trying to find some way out of this craziness that's going on in my mind. And that drink, I remember when I was a little boy, I was about 12 years old, I took that drink, and that drink took me, because all the fears that I had growing up in a very violent house, that drink took all that fear away. And I chased that illusion for a lot of years. And I believe that maybe there was a point that I could have been able to stop if I would have had some help or some guidance. But when you're looking for relief, you will chase the only thing that will give you relief. And at that time, around 12, 13 years old, it was drinking. Now, I didn't become an everyday drinker right out of the gate, but I knew I drank excessively the very first time, and I knew that this was going to work. And it took a period of time.
When you mean this was going to work, what is that
I
mean?
knew that the illusion that alcohol was going to give me would be able to get me rid of that fear. And it worked for a while. But
What do you mean for a while? You talking a year or two?
For a while, it was progressive ever since I took it. But like I said, I didn't drink every day at that time. I ended up like that. I was still young. I was still an athlete. I would go on to do sports, and I would feel good about myself, like I was a wrestler. I played soccer. I did a lot of healthy things when I was young, and I felt good about myself because I did that stuff. But I remember when I was 14 years old, 15 years old, I was a junior, and I was walking across the street and I got hit by a drunk driver.
Oh my God.
He was driving a van, and I'm a 15-year-old kid. I had just found wrestling. It was an out for me. You know, like I said, I started drinking when I was around 12, and that worked then, but I wasn't like alcoholic at that time.
Right. It was just
So
a-
I still had some sports, you know, like all kids go out, some, you know. But when I started to go into sports, I felt good about myself. Body was tight, I was in shape, I had success. And then when that truck hit me and they told me you're never going to wrestle again, you know, I was young, I was crushed. And I remember sitting in a hospital bed and thinking, what am I going to do now
Right.
to feel good about myself?
Right.
And the
You found something now.
psychological part of the illness was that this would make me feel better. And I started wanting that. And I actually had people bring me beer while I was up in the hospital room, because the only go-to that I had without drinking was taken from me, you know, as a kid. And then, you know, as a youth, being strong enough, I came back and I did wrestle my junior year and my senior year, and I got back in there. But once I graduated high school, it's like, what do I do now? And that beast was on me again. You know, at 18, ask a kid what he wants to do. I had no guidance. I wasn't going to college. I had no upbringing. I had a good mother, but she had 3 kids by herself. She was just working. And I had a lot of free time. And
That's
the
true,
addictive
too.
seed was already there.
Yeah.
So that was my go-to when the sports and everything was gone. And then the progression of the illness just took me mind, body, and soul.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. You know, you sit here and the way you're saying it, some people could be thinking, oh, you know what, you know, they're not really that in tune with it. So tell us as much as you can, how bad really was it? What I mean, tell me what the destruction was. Give me an idea, so people who might be hiding out there thinking, it's only a little, or maybe it's really bad, to recognize that it is an addiction. And you know, and I know addiction's not just about alcohol and drugs. It's, you know, it can be anything.
Oh yes, it's a threefold illness.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that without a shadow of a doubt. I had no faith. I believed in God, but I really never had no trust in Him, especially because of what I had grown up with. Like, I thought He was like a punishing God, and you know, and
I know that upbringing.
and why me? Why me? Why me? So all I did for a long period of time, I mean, I drank for the next 35 years.
And the destruction that came with that. How bad was it? What did it do? What did
And
it
the
take down? What did it take
destruction
away?
that came with it was that I hurt everybody that I loved. I was bleeding internally. I would be vomiting so bad that it tore my stomach. I had esophagitis, and I would always have one more attempt to be the old Ricky, the teenager, the athlete, and I would try again to one more attempt, one more failure to live the old, you know, and I would do it. And I remember when I signed a contract to fight. I wanted to become a fighter, so I would take 2 months. I would just train, no drinking, no women, no bad habits, and I would just stay in the gym and I would train, and I would do well. And I fought in Atlantic City in 1982 as a kickboxer, and I would put all that training in for 2 months.
Do you think that's like another form of addiction, or is that just something a boxer normally
I
does?
think it was a way of me to try and control that bad behavior.
Okay.
Because I knew I felt good when I was younger. When I was in shape and I was wrestling, I really felt good. I was like a machine, and I wanted that back. Because my body was starting to really feel it. I was breaking down my body, and I knew that when I had lived right before, that I could bring it back. And I would do, and I would train, and I would do well. And then the mindset that would come after the fight, after I had my hand raised, the mindset was, now because you did so good, now you deserve to go out and celebrate.
Somebody on
Not-
a diet, the same thing.
not
Now you
knowing-
can go eat.
Not knowing that addiction is a part of my life and I can't even see it. Because now I'm going to just go out, plan on going out and having a good time.
Yeah, but you're not drinking during this time in training, so why would you even think you were addicted?
Because you don't think about it. It's a craving, and it's, I believe, an illness, like I said, mental, physical, and spiritual. And if you don't take care of all three of them, it's very hard to recover. I've been working in this field with people a long time. And
You
in
see
my
the same pattern? Is that what you're...
and I was beyond, at 47 years old when it was over, I was way beyond human aid. There was no human power that was going to be able to help me. And that's why you see kids, that's why you see adults, they get into recovery, they're doing great as long as they're doing the right thing. And then the thought would come that I could just have one. And that was the
Why?
biggest
Why does that
thought.
thought come? Is it because you think you're doing so well?
It's because you're doing so good, all of a sudden
You
you don't
can't
have
have
to
a
live
problem.
right. No, you don't have a problem,
Yeah. Okay.
or you stop doing your spiritual stuff, you stop taking care of your body, and you stop feeding. If your body needs to be fed,
Yeah.
good, and
yes.
your mind needs to be fed,
Good.
why wouldn't your spirit need to be fed?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. That's a
And
whole...
in recovery, it tells us that until you take care of that spiritual malady first, the other two just aren't going to come. Now you can will it for a while, and you might do good for a while.
Would you relate that to somebody who eats, and then all of a sudden they get to maybe they weigh 200 pounds, and you really have this craving, like when everybody goes home or whatever the case is, they're sitting there with a gallon of ice cream or half a gallon, what they are now, and then they take a long time, they lose the weight, now they got down to 140.
I got it now.
I got
now
it.
All of a sudden, I got it.
So
Now I don't have to do nothing anymore.
they go back. So
And-
that's the pattern you're talking about. You think I did good, so now I can just go right back, and here I am 220 pounds now.
Now you're right back where you were.
I'm worse. And now I hate myself.
And worse. Now you hate your, oh, this don't work.
This don't work, right? My spirit's even more broken.
But I would rather fight the good fight every day than
Amen.
ever to try to have to
Amen.
get sober again.
I know.
I don't know if I got one more sobriety left in me. You know.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't
So
know when the end of the road is.
just pick the paper up every day of the week. You'll see people are dropping like flies, kids are dying. You know, parents that love their kids, they get it together and then they stop doing what works. So for me, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
Well, you know, it's funny
that's
you say
addiction.
that. I'm a real big Anthony Robbins guru, and he's always saying, you can't, success or anything in your life, whether addiction, anything it is in your life, you get a routine down, and you're not 99.9%, you're 100% every day. To be that successful person, that success is in their career, in their addiction, in their weight, in their health, in their being a parent, whatever it is. You're following that same routine every day. You're evolving in your spirit, you're evolving in yourself to move forward, to be stronger each day, to evolve to better than you were yesterday. It's not to get to a certain point
And
and go
stop.
back. And you're looking for that balance, and to keep that balance. You don't just obtain it and then you're done.
Well, this is
And
where
I think that's strong.
This is where, for me, and for a lot of people, this is where our faith comes back. I had no faith when I got sober. I had none, you know. But I've learned that temptation takes no vacation, none.
Amen.
See, there's a battle going on. It's been going on since the beginning. And I'm not a preacher or anything, but I just
When it goes
know,
back in the time, you hear it in
I know
history, you hear it in the
that's-
Bible, everything.
I know that in my
It's
heart that
nothing
that's true. That enemy is never going to leave me alone. So I have to do all three of those things. Because I can stay spiritually fit. I can sit on the couch all day long and pray for a job. But if I don't get up and go out
Action, yeah.
and apply for a job,
Amen. Actions. It's not
God-
about this. It is about this, but it's the connection with that
God
action.
won't do for me what I can do for myself.
Right.
So the recovery process, getting the mind right and the body right, enables me to be able to have a happy and joyous and free life. Free from, because I can get addicted to Oreos. It doesn't matter what the addiction is.
Yeah, I hear
The
that.
only thing is drugs and alcohol is a killer. That other stuff is a killer also. It'll just take a little bit longer. But
And
addiction.
you're right. You're saying a killer, and I'm about disease and balance and people understanding what the killers are out there, and it's not just one thing.
No.
But what do you think it did physically and mentally, internally? What do you think the destruction was?
My body was ravaged. I was
Ravaged,
bleeding.
that's the strong word, ravaged.
Yeah, I was bleeding. My lungs were, my blood pressure was crazy. My stomach was bleeding. My esophagus was stage 3 esophagitis. Just.
But does that make you
I-
think? Does it make you?
I knew I was sick, so what I did was what any normal person does. I'm looking for the quick fix. So I go to the doctor, and they give me this pill and that pill, and I kept getting pills, but it wasn't taking care of the problem. It was treating it, but it wasn't curing it.
It was treating the symptoms.
The symptoms of the problem.
Okay.
So
We hear a lot of that on many again, different aspects of life.
The addiction of the false dependency on. Now, I got nothing against medicine in an emergency
neither.
room.
Me neither.
And if I didn't have that at that time, I don't know what I would have done. I might have bled to death. But the fact is that I didn't want to. That's another addiction. Now I'm becoming dependent on something in order to keep me going. In order to be me not to be bleeding inside.
So you're back where you started.
So now you're chasing your tail again. And I think that the only pill I really needed at that time was the gospel. When I learned about that, and was able to get a peace in my life, then I could think. I needed peace in my life that didn't come from something that was just treatment. That helped me, don't get me wrong. That stuff helped me, but
Is it peace
there's
or
always a side
understanding?
effect. There's always a side effect to a prescription. So now,
Oh my God,
now,
what commercial don't we see
now I'm
anymore?
caught in this circle, and I needed a peace in my mind that I could go eat healthy.
Well, you see, I needed that peace too. I understand that. I understand that too.
Start to eat healthy, because there are things out there that will heal your body.
Amen.
Because you know how I know? Because I eat them now. And I'm not on any more prescriptions. I take 2 things. All right? Now, I'm not going to go cold turkey right away, go do that.
Baby steps. I tell
Little
everybody that.
thing at a time. I think one of the biggest problems is when somebody comes up with a system that's like, you gotta stop everything you're doing and do this. There's
And
not
that
too many
doesn't work.
people that can do that. I don't believe.
No.
Like, I'm gonna keep eating lasagna. I love my meatballs and my gravy. But why don't you add a little bit of this new healthy food into it? And then eventually
You replace.
you replace it.
But you're still not
So
giving
now
up that.
you're still eating lasagna,
Yep.
but it's good lasagna.
It's healthy, it's organic,
And it's healthy and
clean.
it's organic.
Right.
And I'm 62 years old. And I work on a food truck, a produce truck. It's a
around it.
It's a 25-year-old kid's job.
You keeping up?
And I'm okay to do it. And still got some problems and pains. One of the things that I did learn through this experience was that my body was really hurting. I tore my shoulder. I need neck surgery. I went to all these doctors. I got 4 surgeries lined up. So I started laying on my bed and just saying, man, I'm in too much pain. I can't do anything. The longer I laid in that bed, the worse it got.
Mentally too.
Mentally
Yeah.
and physically.
Yeah.
And I am starting to get more pain. And I know that even though I might be hurting, I gotta keep moving. I gotta keep moving because I was supposed to get surgeries and I didn't want to get the surgeries. And I started to believe that I need a surgery where I might, who knows, later down the road, like I said, I got no problem. I'm 62 years old and I can move around pretty good. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to keep moving, even in some pain sometimes.
Because you're not going to take pain medication.
And
That
then
ain't happening.
my body started to get strong. I was forced into working out because I had to go to work.
Right.
And this, so physical, mental, and spiritual
Well, let me step back for a minute.
combination has to be.
I want to ask you.
For me.
There's tons of women that, and not just food addiction, all kinds of different addictions. But let's primarily talk about the alcohol and the drugs. What about women who are younger, 20s and 30s, like our Mary Margaret, that are going to have children and they're hiding? They're hiding, they just think they take a pill here or there, or maybe they take one every day, or they're swigging after work. What have you seen, and I know you've seen a lot, that happen with babies that have mommies that are addicted to something or not? How ugly and sad is that story?
I see it. I've seen it a lot. And the biggest point out of seeing something there like that, and this is for me, is but for the grace of God, there go I. You know, not that I'm going to ever have a baby, but not to judge them. They're sick.
Yeah.
They need help. But the addiction is so powerful. I
So it lies
believe
to
it
you?
is
Does
this.
it lie
I
to you?
believe it is such a satanic attack.
How do you detect that though when you're in that? How does a mommy to be or thinking about it or it happens to them? How do they recognize, hey, I am being attacked like this to take my child?
They can't because the addiction has them.
So what's the
And
answer?
the craving,
What do they do?
the craving is so powerful that number one is they need to be able to reach out for help.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two is they have to admit, and this is for men too, but for women, they have a problem. They have to admit it to themselves that they have a problem. They need help. Because we're so selfish and self-centered in that state of mind, because the addiction is really controlling our minds, that we don't care about anything or anybody else except getting that next fix.
And you see the
Or
same
getting
thing
that
with a
next
mom,
drink.
a mother. I know how, like, I had this baby. I was protecting myself even walking. So you think that that leaves them too, that mother instinct kind of gets washed away too?
I think deep down, every mom, even in addiction, knows, man, that they have a baby in them. And they want answers. They want to know how to stop it, and they can't. I use my example, like I had two beautiful kids.
Yes, you do.
I was
Yes,
47
you do.
years old. They were 10 and 8 years old. I didn't care about them, my mother. I didn't care about anything or anybody except getting that next drink. And I loved them,
Yeah.
but I was sick. I was sick. Give me a pill. Yeah, you can make me, forget about everything. I won't drink, or put me in a detox. That'll work for a while. Put me in a rehab. That'll work for a while. But then what's going to happen when you leave? So what you're talking about is this new lifestyle that has to be put in place. And you really are key to that, because since we've known each other, I have taken some of that advice, because I don't want to hear none of that. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I do what I'm doing. That's how I ended up in that place. But I knew what your struggle was. I knew what you had been through.
It was almost similar to you,
And I'm
wasn't
saying, yeah, different
Different
scenario. But
Similarities.
when you're looking at death's door,
Yeah.
you either change or die.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down. That's why I love the name of your book.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
the only option is to live,
Yeah, when living's the only option.
and living's the only option.
Yeah, there's no other option
And
for
that's-
me. I was
and
where I
that's-
was with it.
And that's the point that every human being has to get to. But I think in order to get some people in addiction to that point,
Well, wait a minute. You know
Is
what?
the-
That's a good point. I want to ask you that. People are caught up in addiction. Mommies to be are caught up in this addiction. They don't see it. What about the people that are watching? How do they help? How do they? Because I know everybody around them's torn apart. You're seeing a woman pregnant. You're seeing a man who's highly successful just come down the ladder 5 times, 10 times faster than he went up it.
yeah.
And you're watching it, and you're watching it. And how do we, as the love, the spouse, the father, the mother, the whatever, how do we reach out? What do we do? What are the words, or what is something you think that would reach them where they say, hey, you know what? Maybe they're describing me. Maybe there is something going on. Is there any way
Usually the gift of desperation, which is what I got that day at the foot of my bed. I was so desperate that all my scorecards read 0. It was over. It was over. I was either going to die or live. And at that day, I surrendered. And I asked Christ into my life. A miracle happened that day. Now, I didn't have no relationship with him, and I didn't really want to hear nothing about him. But I knew something happened. And something happened, and I'm a walking, talking miracle. Because then what happened is, after that, I was willing to receive the help. Not just ask for it. I asked for it a lot of times in a jail cell.
What do you mean? What do you mean receive it?
Well,
What
when
is
I
that?
finally surrendered and said, I need help, I cried out to God for help.
And you've never done that before, so now this.
I had done it plenty of times
Okay.
in a jail cell,
Well, why is it? Why?
or like
okay.
when I got shot. I was, but this time I think I cried from my heart and not my head. See, as soon as I got out of those jams before,
Okay.
I would get done and I would say, all right, thank you, God, I'll call you the next time I need you. I used him as a fire
So he
extinguisher.
showed you every time the energy, and he showed you every time he was there to help you, and he
But I
just
used
used
him.
it.
I used him
And
as
you
a fire
flushed- and you
fire
flushed it all out.
extinguisher.
Then you closed it all out.
As a fire extinguisher, I'll put this fire out and I'll call you the next time I need it. Well, that day I cried out from my heart, and I believe he heard that. And then he led me to people that have been through it, what I've been through. Like,
Total
I
destruction.
don't know about cancer. So for me to sit here and say, well, I know about your cancer, I can't.
You don't know
I don't know nothing.
No.
But I can help another guy that is in addiction, and you can help a woman or anybody that has had cancer. So I think one of the points is education. Education is key, because when you read an obituary about somebody dying from, you don't ever hear. You hear, oh, they died from cancer, they died from a
Suddenly.
liver. They won't ever put the label on what caused it all.
Exactly.
They won't say
Yeah.
that the guy suffered from addiction, and I can understand
Well, you know what, Ricky?
who wants it out. But that
That's
has,
a good point.
you died from drinking and drugging.
But
is
did
what
that
you-
addiction lead to that cancer, that diabetes,
Absolutely.
that heart disease?
But they don't put it in the
don't put
obituary
that
that
in
way.
there.
They say died
just
from
wanna
his
say it's
fight,
cancer or
from his
diabetes.
fight of an illness.
Right. It wasn't
And I
his
think people
long-term use
need
of this.
to know. People need to know
Gabish.
what caused that illness.
Yeah. And it took
What
a
kind of
while.
lifestyle caused that illness?
Right. Just like sugar, your whole life is going to eventually,
You're gonna get diabetes.
it's going to take you down. So
Yeah.
here you are.
So
That's a good point.
I
That's a
think
really good
the
point.
honesty that comes and being educated about the things that are out there, and really asking for help and learning that what I received was a gift that day.
Can I come to you with a pamphlet? Can I come to you with a story? Hey, this is my girlfriend from work. She just went through this. I'm recognizing it in you. Would you talk to her for a minute?
Yeah, well, that's key. It's going on.
Do you think that
way
is helpful
more-
as me as that person watching in pain from watching my loved one do what they're doing?
It's going on way more than we even think or hear.
What? What do you mean?
Like addiction, alcoholism,
hell
drug
yeah.
addiction. It's way worse than
huge
what you hear.
epidemic.
So the awareness about it, just like any kind of awareness,
Anything, food,
like whether
right,
it's
anything.
a walkathon, a run, you're becoming aware. And today, I'm so glad to hear about Governor Christie. He dedicated his
We're in New Jersey, yeah.
Jersey. He dedicated his last year to helping people with addiction, and
Yeah, I
man,
see it in
that's
his
key.
face in the commercials. He's
That's
in
key.
pain. He's in
That's
pain.
key
I see the
because
pain in
there's
his
a lot of
face.
us in New Jersey that are dying from heroin
Yeah.
overdoses all across the country. So the awareness is there. It shouldn't be political. It really shouldn't be political, because Democrats and Republicans are dying from addiction.
It's all of us all together now.
A lot of people are dying from addiction. So I believe that taking that bull by the horns and acknowledging the problem, reaching out into our communities and helping. I mean, it could be just me and you.
Right.
You know somebody that's hurting, and you say, hey, Rick, listen, I got this friend of mine. But they have to be ready. When the pain gets great enough, we can do as much advertising as we want. But when they get to that jumping off point, if they've heard it and seen it in videos or whatever, and they're aware that maybe I can go there, maybe I can go to the church, maybe I can go to a recovery meeting, maybe I can go to Overeaters Anonymous, maybe I can go wherever I heard it from.
Gamblers Anonymous, whatever.
Whatever
you heard. I saw
addiction
that
it is.
billboard going on Atlantic City saying, I'm walking in here now with my mortgage, and it says if you're over your head. Well, I'm probably over my head because I'm walking in here with my mortgage, and if I walk out with nothing, I'm going to lose my house now. So there's got to be I say it because I don't have an addictive personality. My whole thing is there's got to be a point that you realize you're in too deep. And that's the ignorance of me. And I guess that's what I'm asking for people like me. And like you're saying, it's education. You've answered it. But what do you think is the earliest age for us to get to these younger ones before the glamour of the movies makes gambling and drinking and womanizing and going to the tracks
And manizing.
and manizing? Yeah, I know you've been abused a lot.
Yeah,
for that.
manizing. That's out
we
there
got that.
too.
We're too much eating, working out too much because this looks so great.
The good can become the enemy to the best.
Because it's not balanced. I get
Because
that.
it's not balanced.
But what age? What age do we start
I think
educating
kids
our
need,
loved
I think
ones and
kids
talking?
need to know, because there's a lot of kids in school that have that big pink elephant right in the middle of their home, and they're scared to death to talk about it.
Well, the pink elephant to us used to be used to drunk. So what do
It
you
could be the drunk, it could be, you don't know what it could be.
abuse?
But they need, because I had a big pink elephant in my
Yeah, it
home.
sounds like it.
There's got to be go-tos. There's got to be an open forum education to let children, especially children, know that if there's something there that doesn't belong there, that you got a friend. It doesn't have to be, see, you say police to a kid, you'll scare him.
Yeah, forget.
Go ahead and start your counting.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, Rick, you talk about that pink elephant in the room, and that's great. So maybe we can share and get some kid or somebody to say, hey, we really got something not going on well in our house, to reach out. Which brings me to another thing. When you have that 12 or 13-year-old boy or girl that was your age when you started, you wanted to get rid of the fear, the pain, the sadness. You got the teenager that's under peer pressure. You've got the businessman that's under so much damn pressure because, you know, work's not going good or whatever, and they're turning and they got that gene in them, or they got that desire in them or whatever. There are so many groups out there now that weren't out there when you were a child. There's so many social media on your age group. You're not even as a 12-year-old going to a 50, 55-year-old fireman or police officer, which is still good, but there's so many groups available in your peer age, your friends, to go to and hey, say, you know what, I'm afraid I'm going to start drinking because I got so much going on. And that is what I guess I wanted to pull out of this, is what are the warning signs, but there might not be any. You might be caught in something and reach for it and never come back. So maybe that's the warning sign when you're desiring something to take the pain, anguish, anxiety, depression away. So I think in this day and age, although everybody says social media, blah, 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 I think there's another spin on that. I think there's a lot more out in the open now. I think there's a lot more people that want to help. I know that there's so many people out there listening and conversating. Yeah, they've never met each other, but they've been through life experiences globally. So I want to finish my segment and bring Mary Margaret on to talk more with Ricky, going into a part 2 sort of. I want to say we are so connected anymore. And anyway, you know when you're not right. You know when you're not balanced. You know when you're craving. You know what's coming next. You know you're better than yourselves. So when that starts hitting you, the little devil sitting on your shoulder, and you got God sitting here saying no, 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 and the devil he's really tapping, reach out. You either go to somebody and talk to God. If you're not really sure even how to pray, try to learn it. Go to a prayer group, but go to support. Go to people of people who are addicted. Any kind of group or anything is out there. There's nothing you can't Google and find anymore, people. So please, if you're somebody in this balancing act of life, looking for help, looking for anything, friggin' Google it. You'll find it. Get the help. Don't go into this. Don't be dropping in our streets. We have an epidemic going on of everything. Obesity, disease, alcoholism, heroin, things have gotten excessive, obsessive. You know yourself better than anyone. Balance yourself and get a hold on it.
I believe there's warning signs. There are. But in order to recognize the warning signs, there has to be an awareness. And there is a lot of venues, there's a lot of people that are
Education.
aware now because of the beating and the pain and the trials and tribulations that the last generation has gone through. I mean, our kids are looking at a generation that has kicked God out of the picture totally. It's all about what I want, what I think, what I feel. A selfish, self-centered society.
Yeah.
That it's all about me, me,
What
me,
I
me,
can
me,
get, what
I can get. Money will make me happy. The girl will make me happy. Sex will make me happy. Alcohol will make me happy. And I believe that.
Instant, now.
Yeah, this ain't no drive-through world, man. This is a go-through world, especially now with what's going on. And there's a lot of pain out there, and people don't know what to do with that pain. So they
Get
reach
together.
out to whatever feels good for the moment.
Well, you know what else feels good? What else feels good is getting another person that understands you. Not to wallow in sorrow, but to rise up and be better than whatever it is that you are subjected to. I'm in an environment that causes disease every day, and I've risen above it to change that and to bring this to you. So please, reach as deep down inside as you can, and whatever it is you're struggling with, be stronger than that. Be stronger than it.
You'll feel that, like you hit the nail on the head. Every person that knows that something is not safe in their environment, they feel something inside of them. It's fear-based.
It's
But
intuition.
95% of the time, fear really is, unless you're living in a very bad situation, that's real fear. But when you come from that and then leave, and you try to go to school, or you go try to have friends and stuff, that liar that lies to us, that tells us the world is no good, that's not true. It's false evidence appearing real. But the fact of the matter is it appears real. And this is where faith comes in for me and for a lot of people that I'm involved with. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's the courage to walk through that fear, because fear might still be there. But faith is the courage to walk through that fear. And until I developed the faith and the trust in God,
In yourself,
I was
too.
never going to be able to walk through that fear. I would stay that broken little boy
Right.
in this grown man's body.
Well, you
So,
pick them up and you tell them you're going to take care of them, and you find your way.
and surround yourself around positive, good people.
Even if you don't know anybody, reach out. Social media, everywhere, you can find them.
Anybody can hang with a bad guy. Because there's a lot of bad guys out there, selfish, self-centered people that don't care about anything but themselves. But there are good, loving, young groups, young teens, young people, old people that have surrounded themselves around positive, living people. And when they do that, they help each other recover. And I believe that's the main purpose that God wants us
It's
to
love.
do.
It's nurturing.
Help somebody else. And if you do that, I believe He will bless you. I got proof of that. I've been blessed.
Amen.
Good thing I didn't get what I was supposed to get, because I wouldn't be sitting, I'd be in prison for life, or I'd be dead. So God's mercy kept me alive long enough to surrender and ask for help, and then I was able to fulfill the purpose He had in my life, which is helping people.
Amen.
That's what it's all about.
Amen.
Helping somebody else, and God will rain blessings. He will give you double for your trouble. I got proof of it. I always needed, because of fear, I always needed you to show me the money because I didn't trust,
Prove
I
yourself.
lost trust in the world and everybody.
Understandably so.
But now I understand in God's economy, it's no, you trust me first and then I'll show you.
Right.
And that has happened in my life. And I know that has happened in your life.
Yes, it has.
Because fear make you freeze up. But when you start trusting and then you see what he does in your life, and it's not all so spiritual that you have to have your head so far in the clouds that you're no earthly good. We live here on earth with other human beings, and we got to learn how to get along and keep peace and be happy. This is the only life we got, so you better enjoy it. And I enjoy life today. I have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind, body, and spirit. And I couldn't do it by myself. God reveals himself through people. He works through people. Like he works through you. If you just look at our story,
Yeah.
how that happened, we could go on for 2 more hours straight through and tell you what happened and how we met each other. It's just amazing. We don't have
And we
enough-
might have that episode
don't have
come
enough
very
time.
soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause. You're not going to know that. And Mary Margaret's going to come in and she's going to, from her view of 20-something years old, and give it some questions that she has that she's curious on, things that she's witnessed even at her age. So here she comes. Hocus pocus, here I go. Bye-bye.